What's going on, everybody? Core Conversations for Thursday, and we are freestyling today. I have a few people that are lined up. Didn't really happen, which is totally fine. They may even pop into the chat. But we're just going to do this as always, and I'm loving how these organic conversations, unplanned people have turned out to be really, really fun chats. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for jumping in today, and we're going to have a good time. Cecilia, how are you? Thanks for jumping in. I forgot I was going to take off this sweatshirt. Represent with the orange today. Hi, Michelle. Where are you two located? Just out of curiosity. Just writing a little message here. Portugal's in the house. I want to visit Portugal. Let me say that right there. I have some friends who own property there, are from there originally, and have all kinds of excuses to visit. So I'll let you know if that ever happens to say it, because I'd love to do some Pilates and all that sort of stuff. It's time to see the world. I don't know how many of you are out there that are kind of like done with being locked up and want to start to travel again, but that's definitely where I'm at right now. All right, so we're just waiting for a few more people to jump in here, and then we will start our journey. Fine-tune Pilates. What's going on? Fellow Torontonian. I was born in Toronto, live in Mississauga now, but like I'm Toronto to the core, so very cool. It's good to finally see you on here. I didn't realize that I kind of go between my two pages, so I wouldn't have thought to make that connection that you weren't on the other page. There we are. So yes, today we have a freestyle, and I want to talk about, just recap some of the guests that we've had. I have my podcast yet to do and to put up. Toronto Proud, T. Dot, represent. And so Francesca last week was an equine surgeon and a Pilates person. So there was this talk around the connection of the body, the horse's body, ailments in the horse that affect the rider, ailments in the rider that affect the horse, and the cycle continues. Fascinating conversation, I have to say, because that is so far out of my realm of what I know. So I was just hanging on by a thread, and she was talking at a high level, but then relating at the same time, when just that inquisitiveness that we need in our body to be able to translate that to the people that we're speaking with. And just, it doesn't matter whether it's a horse and rider or whatever, all of us have different areas of passion and things that we're inquisitive about. And I think that they all translate if you're in this work, where any trainer, coach, teacher worth their salt asks questions, and those questions will get you where you need to go. So you don't necessarily have to have all the answers. You just need to have the right questions. That's the way I look at it anyway. And that could very well have been the conversation for today. Hi, Janine. How you doing? Questions. I forgot to put this in the comment section here. 1 second. Hey, Carol. Compostello. How do you spell it? Compestelo is, for those of you who just jumped in, as you see me close to the screen, I'm writing something here in the comment section, is our podcast drop for this week, which by chance I haven't actually done yet. Yes. This has been an interesting week. I think last week I said the same thing, so life must be getting busier in general, but like last week I was like, by the time Thursday, Friday came around, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I was like, I am tired. And it was a good tired, for lack of a better word, because it was like the fact that I had new people doing exciting new things, and I was finding balance, but it's just volume of stuff. And I'm recognizing that same volume again this week. I did a fantastic event on the weekend where once again, like Friday, I was kind of outside, just on the growing edge of talking about stuff that I have to just really hang on, because like talking equine surgery in a Pilates forum, I was talking art and monuments and African history and stuff like that. And once again, so fascinated and so challenged by that on the weekend too. So that was Sunday, worked some class Saturday, still working today, working straight to Saturday. So it's like, it'll be like 14 or 15 days in a row of straight working and just being hands-on, face-to-face, eye-to-eye with people. Love it. Obviously, that's why we're here. I could have had some data entry job and just sat behind a screen for my life, but instead I enjoy doing this. But at the same time, you feel it, right? I want to, actually, I don't know, Carol, if you're free to join me on screen. Every time I have a story, I feel like the story kind of bounces off people better if I have someone to share it with. So Carol, if you're free to join me, thumbs up, or anybody, give me a thumbs up and you can join me on screen. These are, for those who don't know, these are my freestyle core conversations. So we don't have a guest scheduled for today. But if you'd like to join me, you're more than welcome to. And then we can chat. I am Me Pilates and Fitness. What's going on? Where are you located? I seems like I have like some fun new people in the chat here. Can you just write in the comment section where you're from? I saw Portugal, Cecilia from Portugal. Always curious to see where people are watching from. Cool. Where are you from? And then we can recap Carolyn from yesterday, who was like so fun to chat with, and that was like the fastest hour ever. We burned through so many topics and so many things, and I feel like we could have spent another hour because we didn't even talk about Pilates. We spent so much time on women's health, menopause, diastasis, diastasis, and other stuff. Like, just so good. We talked about women's health, but from the lens of the vocabulary that we use around different conditions, stages of life, hormonal responses, things of that nature. I just have to get my body back, kind of speak. Stuff like that. And the way that we package menopause and health and wellness and stages of life, there's this doom and gloom messaging around those stages of life. And as a man, I think it's important for us to speak to it because, one, the majority of our clients are women, and two, it's just something we need to be able to know and refer people to. It's another tool in my toolbox to be able to identify, speak to intelligently, and refer to someone else who's an expert. So it doesn't matter whether it's women's health or it's, I don't know, a physical injury or a broken arm. Like, be able to recognize what's the end of what I know and what's the beginning of someone else's expertise, passion, degree, whatever it is, and just recognizing where we need to go with it. So that being said, giving airtime to it yesterday was fantastic because it was a technical conversation, but then it was a social commentary at the same time. So if you didn't get a chance to watch yesterday's conversation with Caroline, crazy good. Misty, as always, was brilliant. She just brought the heat with just the meanness of our speak, the meanness of the way that we treat one another, and how we believe social media and how that really does negatively impact our view of ourselves, the view of our progress, the view of the stage of life that we're in, and even esteeming things like physical appearance over movement. What is the standard? I don't have my 20-year-old body. Like, what does that mean? I have a mom bod, a dad bod. Like, what do these things mean? Why is there a negative connotation for one and a positive connotation for other? Why is one permitted and other like completely prohibited? That sort of thing. So that's the kind of stuff that we got into yesterday. I feel really strong about all these things as well because from my perspective, as a man, as a social worker back in the day, as someone who just likes relationally dealing with things, there's a sense of frustration when you're working with people and you see that mindset, you see that they believe those lies, you see that they believe social media and that they're trapped in comparison-itis because of what they see. And even though they think that they're not, they really are caught up in that jealousy, envy, comparison, all those different things. So you want to be a voice that speaks to them. You'd hope that you'd be the voice that cracks it, that breaks that cycle for them, and you're not. And that frustrates me because you like to think that your voice is the one that can make them realize for the first time that they are good enough, they are pretty enough, they are strong enough, they move well enough, they weigh enough, they look enough, they wearing the right size clothes, they don't have to compare with someone else, their kids are good enough, they're a good enough mom, they're a good enough dad, whatever the case is. I personally feel like I want to be the one who they hear for the first time when they are combating those different messages. Maybe that's selfish, maybe that's my own ego getting in the way, but I feel like those are the things that challenge me and frustrate me at times, is the fact that, like, it's almost like you can't break through to people because my one-time message is competing with 25 years, 30 years of negative messaging. That was the call, that was a clarion call yesterday for us to change the conversation. That was a challenge yesterday for us to be able to look at the ways that we use our wording in a setting that sets people up for success, that isn't about, I'll fix this, that's wrong, oh, you can't do that, and then there's almost negative connotations to the way that we approach the stage of life that people are in. All those things tie into that conversation yesterday, and it ties into my title from today as well, which says simply, I feel great today. I had an individual come in yesterday, and she was talking about how as she was driving in, she was kind of going through some breathing stuff we had worked on and just thinking about her day. And then she had this, I don't want to say epiphany because that's strong, but then just realization. She's like, I feel good today. I feel good in my body. Like I feel great today. And I almost felt myself welling up like I was going to cry for a second, because we spend so much time here battling self-image, self-doubt, self-identity, this identity crisis of who we are all day long. Conversations, battling out with people. I've had conversations, physical, like arguments with someone early this week about some situation. I talked to them and then they only heard one thing when I was trying to point them to the fact that there's a body dysmorphia in this person's situation, but they got caught up on a size, like a size of clothing. So I feel like I've just been inundated with these messages of mental health, and this is not good enough, and I'm not good enough, and I feel terrible in this, and I need to work on this, and I know this is the wrong messaging, but I need to change this. Like there's all these negative messages that we are battling. There's images that we see that we're struggling with. And for someone to walk into my studio and just say, I feel good today. I can't remember the last time I heard someone come in and just say, I feel good. It was so refreshing. And I have to say, it was even more refreshing hearing it from a female. Because I know that many of you are just assailed all day long by the media and the pulls of your life and work and all that stuff. That hearing that was so refreshing to hear. It gave me pause. We actually just kind of just. All right, well that's great. That's awesome. Let's just enjoy this moment of feeling great, because it might be fleeting. I haven't heard it in months. Don't know when it's coming back. Can we just like savor this for a moment? Like, my wife makes fun of me all the time. If we go somewhere and I'm having like a great meal and I'm on my last quarter of it, I'll cut it in half and I'll take my bite, and then I'll cut it in half again and I'll take my next bite, and then I'll cut it in half again and I'll take the next bite, and then I'll cut it in half again. So I'm down to like a 1/32 of a bite. I'm like shaving a sliver off because I don't want it to end. When she said that yesterday, it was like that, where I didn't want that moment to be gone and okay, let's start our roll up now. Let's leave that in the air for a moment. So it felt good to hear someone say, I feel great today. I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel great to hear them say, I feel great today. I'm still processing certain things, and I've battled even getting to the Will Smith conversation all week, and I'm actually still gonna leave it on the shelf. I'm gonna bring on Carol right now, and see what she's up to. You know what I mean? I have some questions, but we'll leave it for now.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? My phone is about to die, so I just had to come and plug it in here.
Oh, good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Very well. How are you? Good.
Doing pretty good.
Well, I heard all that, and it's true. As Pilates teachers, Pilates just when it does its magic, it pulls out sometimes all the places where you don't feel well, sometimes.
Yes.
And we're used to that. So I hear you on that again. And right now I have always a studio of people who are having difficulties in their bodies, challenges in their bodies. So I rarely hear that until after the session. I feel better,
Yes. I feel better all day long. I mean,
right.
But starting the day with, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. It's so good to hear that.
Yeah. I know, right? Didn't it just feel good hearing someone else even talk about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're just in such a time of not feeling good about anything, really in life and all the
Right.
stuff that happens in life. So everything going on in the world. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, what's going on in your world? I see your podcast is flowing.
well, yeah, actually, I looked and over the year, 35 countries have visited. Not very many views, maybe one person from that country, but
Still a touch, right? Like,
yeah, interesting to see that. Yeah, it's not gangbusters, and I'm a pretty private person, and I so much of listening to you really strikes chords in me.
mhm,
When you were talking with Everly about that you are really happy that she got out there and that she fights that feeling of not wanting to get out there or whatever.
yes, yeah.
Uh, it's not that I don't want to get out there. It's that yeah. It's not that I don't want to get out there.
Mm,
It's the way that it's received constantly online, way that things are
mhm,
received. So that dovetails into what happens in the Facebook forums and the things that
yeah.
people say and how people are with each other, like what Misty was saying.
Mhm,
Um, all of that is really um, it's nerve wracking, and it's upsetting to me as a long timer to see. And this is back to my podcast now, that to see
mhm,
the disparagement between teachers. Some people have
yes.
heard that podcast of mine and thought, oh, she's, they actually thought that I was condoning the way that I was taught in a certain
Mhm,
way. And that's another story, but I'm just speaking to the misinterpretation of words. So that's happened
yes.
many times being online,
Mhm,
being misinterpreted and misunderstood. I,
yes.
I don't like to text because it leads to so much misunderstanding. But back to the podcast, it was mostly about the disparagement of Pilates teachers, since we're all working together and evolving together and
Mhm,
um, bringing our own work to it, and the different styles and the ways that we work are different
sure.
for the different people that come to us. And now I'll dovetail back into what you said this morning about having someone that comes in and feels good. There
Yeah,
are all kinds of people in the public that come to us, that that need that. People who feel a range
sure.
from feeling okay or great to okay to
Mhm,
not so well to really horribly disconnected and
yeah.
out of sorts. So we
Yes,
we need everybody in our community to do their magic, their
absolutely.
personal human magic with each other and the way that we communicate with each other. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
There,
listening to you. I just do.
sorry, you cut out there. Sorry, what was that?
I just love listening to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Are those? I've never been on those like the Facebook forums. Like, show of hands for those in the chat who are on like those Facebook applies forums and stuff like that. Because I've heard people talk about them. Misty mentioned them. I might have joined them at some point, but I'm not on them. I'm not engaged, and I don't feel like they're going to enrich my life at all. Like maybe people find it like as an iron sharpening iron sense of like being around instructors and stuff. But I was challenged by Neil Prasad, one of the marketing guys who came on here, who was like, that's B to B. You need to be B to C. And what he meant is like in the business world, like business to business as opposed to business to consumer. So I'm preaching to the choir when I'm doing certain things in those forums because they're not going to come and buy sessions from me. They're not my audience. So why am I spending my time putting my exercise out there, telling them about online class? I should be on LinkedIn because those are the dentists and those are the doctors and those are the, the people who are doing the things. So I don't spend that much time in those B2B spaces other than Instagram. Like this is my B2B time. This is my time when I'm, respected instructors like yourself. I want to have conversations. This is edifying for me. So this
Mhm.
is where I'll spend my energy. So like Facebook's there, but I don't use it for that.
Um, I can give you my ideas on that. Why I started
Mm,
coming online. I think it is there's two things. There's being in the Facebook groups and what the Facebook groups are for, and there's all kinds of Facebook groups, and what they're directed towards. And then there's just being online, just being online, which I
yeah.
came on in 2009 because there was a problem for me with the PMA, if I can
Mm,
be frank. And
sure.
everybody who reads my stuff knows where I stand on that. Anyway, but I had an issue with that, and I couldn't talk to anybody about it.
Mm,
There was no vehicle, there was no access to the to the administration of that organization where I
no
could
access at
be
all.
heard. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
online, and I asked about the Pilates method exam. And I don't want to get caught in this. I'm just telling
Sure.
you that it's just because when you think that you can connect with people online, that's you come on there and you think that you can connect and you have
Yes.
that's how I love social media for that. I love
Mm,
that aspect of it, that you will find one person that listens to you. And I found one person. I found more than one person really, but the one person that I met was enough for me
yeah.
to have the courage to do what I was doing, and to step away.
Great.
I needed to do at that
Yes.
time without any disparagement of the other people that were there and for what they were doing, because I did not leave with disparagement. I left with, okay, this isn't my place anymore. This is something that I need to explore.
Right.
And that's due to me being able to come online and say something, So
Mm,
that was really good. So back to the forums. So then there wasn't a Facebook forum for Pilates at that time. There was a forum called Pilates Connections. And it had already been around, gosh, I'm sure it was around for 5 or 6 years before I even knew about it.
so
Uh,
is it still around, that one?
no, no,
Okay.
long story short, that ended when the Facebook forum began,
Okay.
the Pilates Contrology forum.
Okay.
And if you're not familiar,
Show of hands. Yeah, show of hands in the chat if you're familiar with that.
yeah, if you're not familiar with that, it was, I believe, at the time, it was the largest Pilates forum online that
Okay.
there were. I think there were about 10,000 members.
Wow.
But then there were also, and that was back before 2013, because it was around 2013 when the Facebook forum came up.
Okay.
So, um,
Audrey, like yes.
what's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Dustin Core saying yes.
yeah, and it was primarily a classical forum, and people
Okay.
were sharing information about classical technique. It was about technique, and
Yeah.
and and then there were also contemporary people on there, and then there would be highly energetic discussions. Let's call them
Well said. Yes.
very passionate discussions,
Yes.
and I just that was I wrote 1,000 posts on there, and not just one-liners, two-liners. I spent a lot of time
You have a
doing.
novel on
What's
there.
that?
You have a novel on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I actually they're up in my they're up in my cabinet here. Things that I printed out. When it went away, you can't see it anymore. Like it's really think it's a historical reference of some of the things that people said, some of the discussions that we had. Because
Yikes.
I work and other people.
Wow. Just when you thought like your message, like your comments were like could be deleted. It's like, nope, we printed it. Thank you.
Well, no, no,
Yes.
no, I would never share that with anybody who, and I don't ever share the names of the people who it's for my reference only, because
Yep.
it's not public. Oh, those rules I feel really strongly about. Um, they're, screenshotting from somebody's private group onto somebody, to give
That's cold.
so many things like that.
That's so cold.
And
Yeah.
that not cool, not
Right.
cool.
Right.
Then I'd say, okay, you want somebody to see it, ask them to join. Ask them to
Yep.
join. I am open to criticism, any kind of criticism. Go ahead, speak your mind. You need to. You need, this is the stuff. This is the icky, ricky stuff that teachers need to speak with each other about. And you know what?
Right.
Not online, not out in the open necessarily, and
Right.
because that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't forward it. And I'm not talking let's just be nice all the time, and let's not go to the hard subjects. Of course we go to the hard subjects, but you do it with respect, and you
Yep.
say, I'm seeing, because all of that is about how people feel. All of that,
Absolutely.
it hits them so hard and so deep that I
Yeah. Can I jump in there with something, Carol, too? As I'm thinking about what you're saying there.
yeah.
Like, I think sometimes when it comes to those moments of confrontation, like if we're talking just globally about confrontation, when it comes to things like this, I respect the times that I've said something online here and someone disagreed with me. I respect it when they send me a private message and say, hey, did you consider this? Or they call me, they WhatsApp me. You know what I mean? Like my phone number is easy to get, everyone. Like, I mean, it's on my website. It's not like it's super private. Like, you can call me. It's like a physical phone call, WhatsApp. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, private message. When you do the things like that, I respect it, because it's almost like the message is, I want you to get better by considering this, as opposed to, I'm trying to win this argument in public.
That's right.
And those are two totally different things.
It's not a contest. But I feel that from you. I don't feel that from everybody. I want to tell you how, and when people come on here and they say, Martin, how much they appreciate you, that is why. Because not everyone has that. Maybe they have inside, they know, but they don't have the skill that you have of bringing that forward. I have to get a little drink, and you know what? My phone looks like it's about to die. I don't know why it's not.
That's fine, Carol. You can jump off. Like, continue in the chat, and then I want to keep this conversation going. If someone else wants to jump in, I have something else to say on that too. But yeah, feel free to just jump off whenever. But that sense of what was I going to say with that? That sense of confrontation and feeling comfortable enough to confront somebody, that's the other part of it too. Like, I like to think that I can invite someone for a conversation on something if they disagree with me.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that when we put that part of it out there, then people won't project their last experience of confronting someone on the next person they have to confront.
Right. I see it as, I want to have that conversation with somebody to show them where I don't disagree with them. Because I know usually it's words that they say, and it's not actually what they mean. Like they can, for me, it comes down to words, because if they say, and I think you're like this too, let's just get clear. Let's just get clear. Like, I have faith in every single Pilates person who does Pilates, because you don't come into this to make $1 million. You just don't. You come into this because, I mean, some people like to do that, but that's not what I've ever done. So, I mean, I'm down on the ground in the trenches, like you say, day in, day out, doing what we do. And it's just not about, it's not about that. And so I think people get into this because they want to help other people feel better. And that's it. That's coming kind of full circle now. And yeah. Totally.
Well, I think I'm gonna run with the confrontation part of it for a little bit in today's conversation, because I think that is something that, much like the conversation around, women's health yesterday, when when we set a landscape where people can healthily challenge one another, I see Black Girl Applies here. Like I believe that Sonia is a perfect example of someone who is not afraid to ask hard questions.
That's right.
And I think that when people are open to answering hard questions, even if their answer might be I don't know, or their answer might not be acceptable, and you're coming from a place where we're actually trying to progress and move forward with it, that's not a bad thing.
It's a necessary thing. You have
that's exactly it.
I started my whole well, before I moved from California and moved to California from the East Coast, I studied Traeger approach, which is a type of body work. It's a type of somatic body work. And the whole idea there is you can touch the person's body and you're constantly saying to yourself, I don't know what's here.
Yep.
Show me what's here. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, you do not know about the person in front of you. You don't know what's right for them. You don't know what they're feeling.
Right.
It has to be a conversation. And with the hands-on, it's what you're sensing through your hands. And with us, it's not always just what we see, it's what we feel and how we get to that place where we feel each other. But yeah, it's as you said, you have to put yourself in a vulnerable position. That's the number one thing as you want to be a teacher, because you have to communicate and you don't know anything about anybody who's in front of you.
Right.
You know?
Right. You have some information and you have some guesses.
Guesses. That's the of nonviolent communication. Talking about violence, continually it hits my heart. I spoke with to build the model that I teach from, I worked with a phenomenologist, which is and she was one of the only phenomenologists. That's a form of philosophy that comes from a man named Edmund Husserl. Anyway, long story short, I called her to ask her, hey, when I'm saying this, what do you think someone is thinking when I'm saying that? Like, what, and anyway, that's how it started. Yeah. But, train of thought here. She discussed with me like what people might be feeling, right? Well, my model was all about just asking my people what they felt, asking them, how about I just ask them, how about I don't assume, how about I don't decide that I know what's best, how about I guess, like what you just said. And that guessing thing is a part of the work of a nonviolent communication. But this phenomenologist had written pretty important, like she's a very important paper to me, which is about the victims of violence, and actually cited me in there for what I do with my clients.
Yeah.
I mean, I was blown away that she did that. But at that time, because I know there's loads of people, but it's about people hooking up. It's about who can hook up. Obviously I am like not the only person. There's loads of people working with victims of violence and all of that. But my point is that there are people out there who are doing this work and we're not connecting with them. And you say that all the time. And I'm so I finally feel like I can exhale a little bit. And it's like, okay, somebody believes that there are people, I'm going to get a little, somebody believes that there are people working in their favor, that who aren't out to, who aren't out to
take advantage.
Who aren't out to stop, who aren't out to squash, who aren't out to step on your head, but to stand on your shoulder, your giant shoulders, if they need to, that you're there,
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff that, Martin, you're making me cry first thing in the morning, okay? Which is good.
Therapeutic, it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's good. No, I'm so happy to hear that. That I honestly, Carol, because that is really why like we are all here. Like I believe that we're all heroes and superheroes, and that came up on the weekend when we were talking. When I did an MC for this event, and I used that in my intro and said like one of my core conversations. It is to recognize those superheroes that are in our field, and it's the page 300 superheroes. It's not the page one Iron Man heroes. It's the guy you didn't know about, or the girl you didn't know was a superhero that's actually doing great work as well.
That's
Give
right.
them some airtime, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so coming full circle, and then I'll let you alone here. Um, in the forums, and it's a lot. It was a lot about getting technical information to begin with, right? And
yes,
and
yes,
the argument started, and I think that carried over still and into the forums. Then if you see the evolution, long story short, I'll write a blog on it, that see the evolution of it and how teachers are there to vent and to share their frustration. But hopefully it's not meaning to disparage, but it does come across as disparaging.
disparaging.
And I say, if that
Absolutely.
ever happens, just ask the person deeper. Ask a deeper feeling, like, what's up with you?
Yep,
Like
yep.
what's happening? And that you don't always see that, but I have to say, I'm seeing it more. And like Carolyn said yesterday, it's happening very slowly, but it is happening. And that was a
Yes.
wonderful conversation yesterday, by the way. And
She's just amazing. Yeah.
yeah, and both you and Misty too. It was all, it's all you talking together. That's what brings it out, is the conversation, but when she said, it's slowly happening, we're about the same age, Carolyn and I, and we've seen a lot, and we can see the shift. For me, it can't be fast enough, and I'm sure
Yeah.
others feel that way too. It cannot be fast enough. Some of the things that just happened here in San Jose, stuff that breaks my heart every single day. And that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, because people need to be in their bodies.
Yes.
They need to get there. They need to slow down. They need to, and the world
Yes.
is not going to change that fast, that way. And we have to learn how to sit with it and not let it deter us from our mission and what we need to do. So
Well said.
I'm going to let you say your wonderful things.
Thank you. I'll let you go so you can just cry this out.
Okay.
Thanks so much for jumping on.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Oh, what a rich conversation. Cecilia, thank you for joining us. So I have to jump off there. Emma, I'm not sure if you're still in the room, but yes, remember when we talked about that, like podcast conversations with people who hate me? There's something about leaning into those hard conversations and I'm not going to lie, I'm not an expert at it. And it's uncomfortable every time I have to go through that. And like, I feel when I get those text messages, I still like my heart sinks for a second. I kind of have to breathe, read into it, understand, okay, this is actually good. Let's follow through with this. This isn't mean spirited. Like I go through those steps. I go through that whole process, but still at the end of the day, it's like, all right, opportunity to get better. Let's get it. So I think that's part of it. That is definitely part of it. Sonia, I'm not sure if you're still on. I saw you did a live a minute ago, and I'd love to have you come on and just talk about what's going on Monday in your talk that's coming up. If anyone else would like to join me, please give me a thumbs up and join me. Jump in the chat. I missed Blossom here. She was in for a minute. Alicia, thanks for joining us. Deborah, Manuel, thank you so much. Here comes Sonia. Are you back on land?
Yes, I am. I came back, or rather I gotta say we now, that's weird. Um, yeah, we came back on Saturday. So I thought it was supposed to be Sunday, but sometimes I wish it was just never. But
Right.
note that it was a good
Yes.
trip.
Yeah. You're a little bit
Obviously,
fuzzy there. It seems like it's a bit of a
it
lag.
was a good trip. Oh yeah, so let me move away. I had to because I'm finishing making my breakfast, but I had to kind of
Yeah,
move. Is
I
that
think
better?
it's yeah, it's
I
catching up
think
a
it's
bit.
usually where I am.
Yeah, there.
It's catching up a little bit. Okay, let me know, and then I can keep moving around. Um, what is your
My
topic today?
I'm
Or you're
freestyling,
freestyling?
but I said earlier
Yeah,
before you got on,
yeah. You're
yes,
doing a cipher.
it's just a freestyle. Absolutely. I was reflecting on in the midst of our world here. Oh, there's definitely a
Oh,
lag. Yeah.
oh, there is. Okay, so let me.
Hi, Glenn.
I'm
I
going
see
to
Glenn a lot.
keep moving here. I'm going to just go up to my little office, but you
Absolutely.
can still hear
Yep.
me right now, right? Okay, cool. Sometimes it depends on where I am in the
Yeah.
house, and it'll be weird. So let's see. Maybe I'll sit and I think he has some more light.
Sidebar. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, how's
How's it feel
that?
having like stairs and stuff?
Okay.
Not being in New York anymore. Yeah.
Oh, stairs?
In the
Oh, in the house? It feels like just going up subway stairs. It's
yeah,
just that I do it all the time now. I mean, like all the time. Go up to go to
yeah.
bed, all that stuff. Come to my
Nice.
office, all that stuff. So yeah, this is actually his office, not mine. But yeah. So I know you were talking about you're asked
Yes.
about my live I did earlier with Black Girl Pilates. Um, so on Monday, April 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So remember that Eastern Standard Time. We are hosting a Q&A session with the Pilates Method Alliance, specifically Carla Harris, who is the first Black ever executive director of the Pilates Method Alliance, and Stella Hull Lampkin, who is the first Black ever board president of the Pilates Method Alliance. And this meeting is specifically for the Black Pilates industry. And I mean, anybody who teaches Pilates, doesn't matter whether you're part of Black Girl Pilates or Mellon Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you like me or not. The fact is that we're all a community. And the decisions that they make affect us as Black people who teach
Mm-hmm.
Pilates in this industry. There's up and coming, I think, organizations, stuff like that, but it's going to take a long time for those folks
Yes.
to have the impact that the
Right.
Pilates Method Alliance has had. Um, I made it plain that this is not a membership drive because I'm not a member.
No.
I don't think you're a member
No.
either, are you? You're not a member at all, right? I'm not a member. Probably will never be a member. I don't know. But at this point, I'm not a member. This is not, you don't have to be a member of the Pilates Method Alliance, a pastor, nothing. As long as you're Black and you teach Pilates. Or I've also invited
Mm-hmm.
even our clients, Black Pilates clients. I think it's cool to have our Black Pilates clients see what what we're
Right.
dealing with here in this industry. um, so again, if you're Black and you teach Pilates, or you're an apprentice, or you're Black and you're a client, we'd love for you to come. If you cannot attend, I have a lovely form in the Black Girl Pilates bio where
Mm-hmm.
you can ask a question. Even if you're going
Sure.
to go, you can still ask
What
questions
kind of
and things like
questions do you
that.
want to ask?
Um,
Because now, like, and just in terms, like, how do you want to steer the conversation in terms
yeah.
of, are you challenge them in terms of where they are going to ensure that representation and that sort of thing? Like, what are the hard questions that we need to ask them?
Yeah. I mean, those kinds of questions. But I don't necessarily have, I mean, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
facilitating it necessarily, but
Yeah.
I mean, well, kind of, but not really. But I want folks to feel comfortable asking
Yeah.
whatever question they'd like to, because this is a conversation. I always say that there's, like Black folks business conversation,
Okay.
like it's that kind of conversation. And so I don't want folks to hold back on something they've always wanted to ask or maybe say, because this is one time in history when the Pilates Method Alliance at the top
Right.
looks like us. And we may not have this chance
Mm.
again, because we know
Right.
how long that
Right.
lasts. Not long. And so I wanted to give, or we wanted to give, the Black Pilates community a chance to ask what you need to ask in a
Mhm.
space that's safe, where we can ask from our perspective, where we don't have
Yes.
to code switch. Um, so that's what, that's kind
Mhm.
of where we're going. Um, I didn't want to facilitate it because a lot of factors. People expect for me to facilitate it, light skin privilege, all kinds of stuff like that. Um, so I chose, two people who kind of run a bunch of intersections that I don't understand. They're still Black. I just don't understand. I don't understand. I don't
Yes.
have those lived experiences. Um, and it'll be less of like sort of like Sonya, like, oh, y'all already know what
Yeah.
I might say.
Right. But it gives
you
space
know
to the community, right?
but it's also, I do want to say that it's also kind of a safe space for Carla Harris and for Stella too, because we may not agree with all the decisions that they
Mhm.
make regarding this organization, but they are a part of our community. And for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I will always be there to protect them, even the people who I, probably no longer have a relationship with. But if something happens with them, from a white supremacist standpoint, from a racism standpoint, then I want to
Yeah.
be there to say, well, okay, we might have these differences
But
and whatever, but
so
no, you
question.
may not. Yeah. So,
This event will
mhm.
be a success if X happens.
People come and ask questions if people are there, because this is one time in history when we can do that, and we don't know if we'll ever have that again. I don't even know if we'll ever do this again. I don't know, because this one day could change the industry for
Absolutely.
us, right? Because Carla
Mhm.
cannot read our minds.
Right.
Stella can't read our minds. Now, do they have access to me? Absolutely. I have their phone numbers, emails. I can reach out to
Right.
them whenever I want, blah, 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 you know, all that stuff. But, you know,
Right.
they can't read my mind unless I
Which
tell
is
them
it's
what's
funny
on my
because that's
mind.
exactly what Carol just said a minute ago. Like sitting with experts and they talk about like trying to understand what people are thinking when they come into our studio. It's like, or you can just ask questions, right? I mean, so from Stella
Ask them.
and from Carla's perspective, it's like
Yeah,
I'm sure they're gonna have questions too, and I hope that they come with their questions because that will guide
they
the
probably will.
direction of where they're going because I know we all understand that things are processed and things take time, but at least now you understand what's
Mm-hmm.
important to the people
Yeah.
to whom you're trying to address these things, right? And then maybe that'll shift the
Mm-hmm.
priority on the things that are kind of in the
Mm-hmm.
works, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And why um, I do respect Carla for when she made it into office. She reached out to me,
yep,
which I appreciated, because the previous administration, they didn't reach out to me. They only reached out to me
right,
when I said something to them, you know. But then, there's this connection that Carla
mm-hmm.
and I have as Black women, as Black people. So, it's so there's that Black community connection. So I
Sure,
do respect her for that. I'm not trying to
right,
solicit members for them either. Would she like people to join? Absolutely. Would she like to see more representation of the Black Pilates community at the Pilates Method Alliance
mm-hmm.
conference
Sure,
and
absolutely,
etc.? Absolutely, she would. You know, but we have to have some conversations, right? So we can't sit over there on the side and be like, well, they ain't
right.
doing nothing for us and
That
blah blah
doesn't work,
blah. Mm-mm. After Monday, no one can come, and I'm saying Black Pilates community, nobody can come and say you didn't have a
right?
chance, because you have your chance, whether you're there or not.
Yes.
There's a questionnaire form, all that stuff,
Everyone, I just like, I
you know?
strongly encourage you
So,
put your questions in, submit your questions. Even if you can't commit to the time, submit your questions. That's your way to contribute right there.
mm-hmm,
That's the most accessible way to contribute. Be there if you can, but like Sonya's saying, like Don't sit on your hands and then complain after when you had plenty of time to put a question in.
Yeah. And I mean, we're recording it. So, those Black instructors, apprentices, Black clients who can't attend, they'll be able to see it and stuff like that. Because I know, Mondays is money making day for a lot of people, so, but we
Yeah,
kind
for
of had to
sure.
work around her
Yeah.
time and things like that. And, I'm thankful for, Teresa Ellis and for Dr. Freddie Nunez Pearson, for being facilitators and taking out the time to do that and all of that. So I'm excited about it. I think it's also going to be a history maker. So I'm all about making Black history. So I'm really excited about that. I hope you'll get to be there. I don't know if you'll get to make it because I know
I
you're
think I'm
used to
teaching.
teaching
Yeah,
and stuff
four
like that.
o'clock.
But please
Yeah,
send me
I'll
questions,
definitely submit
Martin.
questions. I do have a 4 o'clock at that time, but yeah, that's. I'll
Yeah,
give it some thought. Like, I mean, I think that.
yeah. Is that are
No,
you
I'm
an
Eastern.
hour
No, I'm Eastern time.
behind
Eastern Standard
Eastern
Time as well.
Standard Time?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you'll be jumping in right at
It's
5
no, it's
p.m.
Eastern. I'm Eastern as well, right? So, is that 4 or 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5
Oh,
p.m.
right.
Eastern
Oh,
Standard
sorry, I think
Time.
5.
5.
Yeah. So I think I do have clients around that time, but still, I'm gonna put in because like I in a different
Yeah,
context, I was
please
talking about
do.
that just in the whole like municipal stuff that I'm running into, that people are so quick to argue and try and win points online, but never actually engage with the decision makers. You know what I mean? So like when you have an
Yeah,
opportunity,
yeah. I mean,
for
I
sure, I've been
probably
that
have
person
been that
too.
person. I'm
Absolutely.
sure in my
Yeah.
life. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna front. I've probably been that person too. Or even, like either a decision maker or someone who's making a point, like they won't, like for instance, I had a young man come on to one of my lives from like January and make a comment. And so I decided, okay, I decided that I would video call
Yeah.
him on Instagram, but he didn't answer. So I was like, well, you know, if people really have something to say, then they should at least, okay, so let's have a
Yes.
face-to-face conversation. Since
Yeah.
you're telling me that I'm this,
Yeah.
right? And you want to argue back and forth with me, then maybe let's have a video conversation. So then you can tell me what you need to tell me here, right? Because we'll never
Yes.
really be in person, but here versus
Yeah.
like, typing and things like that.
That's
So
great.
that's kind of my new thing. Well, if you have something to say, especially what he said, then I'm just going to video conference you and say, okay, so now
Right.
what did
So
you need to
between
say
you
to
and
me?
I and everyone
You
that's
know?
watching, it's almost like this little tactic to call people out. Are you trying to be a bully right now, or are you trying to authentically talk about something?
Well, I don't think that's bullying because I mean it's just like, okay, well you want to have
Right.
a conversation, so why
Well,
shouldn't
that's
then
what I'm
let's have this
saying. That's what I'm saying.
conversation here?
Because if they
Because
don't want to have a conversation, you're
yeah.
just throwing a dagger out, and then when you invite the conversation, and then they avoid, it's like, like what were you trying to achieve here, right? No, what were they
What
trying to
was I
achieve?
trying to achieve or them?
Yeah, yeah,
What were they trying to achieve? Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew that they were being a bully. I knew that, they don't follow me. I don't even
yeah.
know who this young man is.
Oh,
But I was just like, okay, well, I don't know if you know how old I am. I'm 53, probably old enough to be your mom. So I have conversations with my daughter on FaceTime, so we might as well have a conversation. This is how y'all. So let's see, what is it that you're talking about? Obviously, there's stuff you think I don't know, so let's have this conversation. So I said to myself that maybe I'll
sure,
start
for
doing that
sure.
with people. Just not asking them, but just randomly doing it and say, oh, looks like you want to have a conversation with me, so let's have this conversation here. Um, I haven't been successful.
Right,
So far.
sure.
I've even offered people, like,
Yeah.
here's my email. We can do a Zoom. Some people say,
Ah,
yes, I'm going to do it. It's been, I don't know, a year
yeah,
or so. And it's never happened. So if you really want to have the conversation, then we'll have the conversation. Like for instance, I made a comment on a very large international certification programs. They're having something coming up soon. And they reached out and said, hey, we'd like to have a conversation. I was like, well,
yeah,
hey, I'd like to have a
yeah,
conversation
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So we did. We had that
Yes,
conversation in person. And so I was just like, that's the kind
right.
of stuff
Respect
that we're
that. Yeah,
talking about. you know, versus sort of, you know, what you're seeing going on in the industry. And we don't have to talk deeply on what we're seeing, because I think that that's where I can't remember what her name is, but I think I came in kind of late on the conversation, but I think that's sort of what she was talking about, maybe. But I know she was talking about the forums, and all the craziness that's going on there, and people have so much to say in the forums. And I'm still in the forums for now, and I've said to many of them there, I was like, obviously you have an issue with something I wrote or said or article that I got paid for. You know, so here's my email. Oh, I also have Facebook Messenger, so you can message me. And I just kind of, you know, figured I'd let them, but you know, never, you know,
Whatever. So
whatever.
funny. So I gotta jump off. I didn't realize it's after 11. We can just chat all
Me
day.
too.
I do that.
I have to eat breakfast and it's late.
Yes.
But anyway, I hope to see your question. If you can't attend, ask
I'll
a lot of
repost it, too.
questions to
Absolutely.
folks.
Yep.
So yes, please, thank you very much. Encourage your brothers as well to come.
Trainer's Choice.
I know you'll ask
Thank you for
questions.
jumping in.
Yes.
Everyone else is jumping in. Carol, thanks for the conversation earlier as well. It's really putting some context to what we see in this world here. So I appreciate that. And Sonia, thanks for jumping on.
Yes.
All right. Talk to you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.